Hi, Al.
Hey, Tazzy, long time no do.
Long time indeed. We've just been again navigating the space with intuitively. So just
Yes.
hasn't worked out the past 2 weeks or so. And and so much has also happened and transpired. And now we've just found ourselves in a place to share again.
No, absolutely. And we always said that, Tazzy, we always said that we would not force it.
No.
So if there was messages coming up and we kind of had a vague message, and then when we actually got together to record it just didn't come together.
No.
Didn't feel right.
No.
And that's what I'm loving about this, Taz, is that we're not being kind of forced to do anything. We're totally in flow.
Absolutely.
Which is what I'm sensing, and that's a beautiful lesson for me, because sometimes I can be quite controlling of, okay, we said we were going to do this, let's do it. And now literally just saying, well, no, it doesn't feel right.
I think all of us can relate to that, like just being so rigid about things and like to the T. And sometimes just being in the flow is often the best option for us.
So here we are. And so a very big message has come up this week. And I want to say particularly for you.
Yes, sure.
And that's the message of?
It's really a question. Where are you suppressing yourself in your life? That's actually such a huge aha, I think, over the past, let's say 7 days, really. It's just been, what's transpired has just that's been the ultimate question that's come up for me, that I've had to reflect upon and really dig deep to answer.
So you have got a lot to share on this, but just to sort of maybe clarify, so really we're talking about the construct of suppression. Yes. So, and I think probably where we're going to go with this is, so I love the question, what are we suppressing? But then also to talk about the manifestation of suppression on multidimensional levels.
Yeah.
So it's not just manifestation within us.
No.
Because that also happens.
Yes.
But that suppression also manifests on the external. So it's a bit like our last conversation, as within, so without. So when we are
in your environment. In your environment.
Yes, exactly. What happens in that external space, which I think has been so profound in your journey this week. Yeah. So, I mean, I'd ask the viewers just to be really conscious right now of what you're going to share, and to be conscious of your own consciousness while they're listening to you, because I think you sharing your story with me was very powerful, because if I went into that space of observing myself, and what was coming up for me in your journey, but equally then like, wow, so then what's happening in your life, Al, that you're suppressing? So just would invite everyone to be super conscious of your consciousness as we go through,
and of what you may be triggered by as well. So just
the triggers, I think, are the way in which are the messages, are the almost like the red flag.
Exactly. So pay attention to that, like it's kind of a trigger warning, but also just kind of soften into it and allow yourself to really sit with why this is coming up for you, or triggering you, or making you feel any type of way.
So beautiful, Tazzy. I want to just say, because sometimes, I mean, we see those red flags, right? We are so conscious of those red flags, but then what do? We suppress. We suppress those.
We suppress, right?
It's just madness. Okay, so that's the kind of thing I think we're talking about exactly that. Okay, so let's just hand over to you, Tassie, and share what's
I
happened
can't
this
even remember I mean, like, look, I'm not attached to dates and timelines and whatever, so I can't even remember exactly when this happened, but it's happened in the past 7 days. Like, let's just put it there.
Definitely.
So I was going about my merry day, just doing the usual chores, and around probably 5 p.m. on this day, I was feeding the dogs, which I normally do. I have access through my room. Coming back in, I shifted one of the carpets, and I was like, oh, okay, a little like worm, and I was like, never paid it much attention because we live on a farm, so I'm pretty used to seeing creepy things like worms and spiders and all kinds of creatures crawling and usually making home in my room, because all are welcome there. And I came back into the room and shifted the same carpet, only to find an entire infestation of maggots. Now, I will say this as a disclaimer. I am an animal communicator, but there are still things that freak me out. And this is one of those things. Like, it instantly makes me feel uncomfortable, and it makes me feel, so pay attention to what I'm saying, because it's going to play into what I have to share later on. It makes me feel uncomfortable, and it just grosses me out to like no end. It just grosses me out. So obviously I got to work. I didn't even think of where's this coming from. The first thing was just sort it out, clean the mess, get them out, because I just did not want them to get anywhere near the cats or food or the kitchen. And now at this point, it's just in my room, which makes zero sense to me, because there's, for me, no reason why this would happen in my room. Now, we've had like really hectic storms in like last year. So floorboards in my room have started like raising because of the damp that it's swollen. So we needed to get that fixed. But as I'm cleaning, I realize these things are coming out from underneath the floorboards. They are literally just multiplying. So I think I've cleaned up. I walk away, I come back, and there's like a whole lot more there. And this kept going on, and it kept going on. So after 2 hours, I thought, okay, I've done all that I needed to do, because I looked up the natural remedies, cleaned up whatever I could. Okay, it seemed to have calmed down. And then the night carried on. And then about 11, 12, I was in bed actually. I got up again, and I just thought, let me just check, because I know at night things tend to, the nocturnal energies tend to make things kind of stir again. Lo and behold, it's as if this had all started all over again. I continued this exact same motion of cleaning, and by 4 o'clock, I was exhausted. So now it's just not stopping.
And they just keep coming.
They just keep coming. I mean, just more and more of them. And I'm thinking, where is it coming from? Like,
yeah.
Because, maggots are associated with, as we all understand, they are coming from something that is died, something that is rotted, something that is that is, decaying.
Yes.
And if anybody knows me, I'm such a stickler. If there's anything, I'm like constantly on it. I'm like making sure that something is clean, because I don't want to have that kind of thing happen, especially in a farm environment. It's kind of always, you're susceptible to having that happen. Anyway, at 3 or 4 o'clock, my mom, she's heard me make, all this commotion, and she steps out of the room, and I just burst into tears. It's like 4 o'clock. I burst into tears. I am at this point completely frustrated, just defeated is what I felt like. And my dad's also awake, and bless them, they're trying to help me sort this issue out.
I do want to just pause you here, because the tears, and the kind of emotion that you were experiencing at that moment is quite critical here.
Yes.
When we move further into the story, okay, and the sort of like the why. But I think it is important to mention that, because you're not somebody who just does burst
easily
into tears
expresses, yeah.
very easily. I mean,
Yeah.
you're not, so yeah, so I think that's important, just that
Thanks, Al.
critical
That
point.
is, because also
Yeah.
I kind of almost again went into suppression, because now at this point I've got my folks awake, they also trying to help. So now I'm in action mode again. I've just thankfully got
The
some
doing.
help, and we're cleaning up. And it must have been at about 6 that we cleared out everything. And my dad just, he just doused him with whatever he could find, vinegar. I mean, I'm not into using anything that is not as natural as can be, but somehow he had Dettol, and he was just like, and at this point I was just like, I just surrendered, and he was just carrying on. I just needed the help. I just needed this to get sorted. And at about 6 o'clock, we also had load shedding, which, for those of you who don't know, in South Africa is a concept where our electricity supplier switches off our electricity for 2 hours or so. And so at 6 o'clock this happened, and it was exactly the time that we'd stopped cleaning. Mom and they went to bed, and I just, defeated as ever, sat on the single seater couch outside my room, did not even want to go back into my room, did not want to sleep in that room. I was so detached from that space and just so exhausted, I just fell asleep on that single seater. But before falling
also
asleep,
to say, sorry to interrupt, because these insights are coming. Your room has always been your sacred space.
It is my sacred space.
I mean, your altar's there, everything.
Everything.
So
and it's a space that if you know the work that I do, it's always where I grid, it's where I do my rituals. It's it is the safe space for me. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So for me to have this happen in this space was just so, it was so unnerving. It really took me by surprise, and I could not make sense of it. And I understand in the my logical brain was trying to make sense of it, because I was dealing with this in its tangible form, right? So all I was dealing with was the reality of what I could see. And I couldn't
3D of it.
Yeah, the 3D of it. And I couldn't go beyond that. I couldn't see beyond that or feel beyond that. I was just in like, and this was also a lesson in for me as an animal communicator, once again, a place that I needed to find peace with these creatures, these beings that come to serve me. And so this gets explained further on in my story. But anyway, before I fell asleep at around 6 o'clock, the tears after everything, so everything has gone quiet, right? The house is dark, everyone is sleeping because of load shedding. And my tears just kept rolling. I just was releasing, and it just kept coming. My sweater must have been like soaked, at least, if I can recall. And the tears just kept, and I just allowed myself to feel them, to let it come, for the cleansing to happen. But it was a deep, painful, almost grief-filled cry. Well, it wasn't cry, because it wasn't any sound to it, but it was just that release. It was just that sobbing, silent sobbing. But it was a pain I can't explain, but other than to say it felt like I was grieving something. And I've lost people in my life. So for me to identify with that kind of lost grief, that's kind of what it was I was grieving, I can't tell you. I mean, sometimes, as also, we chatted about this after. I mean, I shared some voice notes with her, and you said to me, sometimes we don't need to know what it is.
No.
And I just allowed, I just surrendered, and I must have probably, been in that state for like an hour before I actually just fell asleep for like another hour. So I didn't get much sleep that night. But then, obviously now cleaning the room the next day and clearing everything and having a good shower myself, I just was in a better place to reflect later on in that day. And the first thing I did was actually go and research what the symbolism of maggots were. This is my space that I go to that. So everything is medicine. Animals that come into your space, creatures, your insects, all of them, it's a medicine. and I needed to understand what was this medicine that I was getting. And as we all know, a maggot is but part of a life phase, part of a metamorphosis phase.
Yeah.
Right? So they are hatched as eggs, they become larvae, then they go into the pupa phase, and then they become whatever they are meant to be, butterflies, moths, whatever. And it just dawned upon me, oh my God, this is a space of transformation. I am in the space of transformation. And it hit me like it's clear as day. I was just like, wow.
You were literally
being faced with this. I was being faced with it it was in my space that
yes,
you are transforming on multi-dimensional levels.
Yeah.
And
because also, sorry to interrupt, Daisy, but the amount, so that's the other thing.
It's not just like 10. It wasn't just like 10 or 5, yes. Or they were just, it's like they wouldn't stop until I got this message.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Wow. And and it took me some time because I needed to get out of my own way. I needed to get out of the 3D reality of it in order to find the expanded understanding of what was going on. So this is also just an opportunity for me to kind of bring this to everyone else's attention, is like not to disregard the meaning, the deep meaning, significance, and medicine that is in all things that happen to us. I'm just speaking of it from an animal, communicator, but also nature perspective. But this could be of anything that comes up in your space. You could have had like an altercation with a stranger, or an accident, or a misunderstanding, whatever it is. There is deeper meaning to it than what you are experiencing on the surface and in the 3D.
And I'm glad you said that, Taz, because sometimes we need the whack over the head.
Yes.
Like sometimes I think the messages come and they're too subtle. So we don't get it. Whatever it is that we are suppressing, the universe speaks all the time, but often we just like, or we get it and we're like, oh, no, we put logic to it and we say, oh, no,
it can't be.
That's nonsense. It can't be that. Until eventually the universe says, well, seriously, now we need to deal with this, but it's now going to be hardcore.
Yes.
It's
going to come at me like full force. It's going to come at you.
And it's going to exactly. And it's going to be so tangible, right, that you're not going to be able to not get this.
Yes.
And so I do want people to think about that, that the longer you bury and the longer you suppress, okay, the more
the bigger that moment is going to be, really.
Exactly. The more momentum this thing gathers, until eventually it's going to be hardcore,
Totally.
So if you're having those awarenesses and those levels of consciousness that wow, that's come up, you know what, I was triggered, I need to work through this. Work through it.
Yeah.
In those moments, because
and don't disregard it. For me, it's like, don't disregard even the smallest, what you deem to be the smallest thing, the most insignificant thing, because like with anything, and again, it's also like with the manifestation of dis-ease in the body, it doesn't just happen overnight, like you've just woken up and you feel like a train has wrecked you completely. That's not how it's actually been coming on. You've been suppressing, ignoring, or disregarding signs and things that have been manifesting. And so now your body's like, okay, or your being is like, okay, so you're not getting the message, we're going to give it to you like full on. And you're gonna have to, there's gonna be no way to escape it other than work with it and walk through it. So that's exactly how this happened. So I was with this like profound understanding now of what this was, but this pain of this sadness and this grief that was like literally in my heart chakra. It was in my heart center. It was just it was so deep. It was so, I mean, in the voice that I exchanged with Elle, I was crying. I relived the moment while sharing this with her, and I was like in such deep emotion, expressing what I was feeling. And Al, your question to me in response, one of the questions you asked, well, what are you grieving?
Yeah. What
And
is, yes.
Well, that was one of the questions. And I couldn't actually, I said, I don't know what it is, but it feels like really just something, I don't know, it could be of lifetimes, of lineages, of past lives. I don't know, but it feels like just so heavy, so much that I needed to let go of. And I think
Can I just say, I've just felt a fleeting sense of that emotion again. So
yes.
I think you, so it's been such a journey through.
Yes.
But there's just last
it's still a little bit of residue. Yeah.
Yes, because I just had a fleeting sense of that emotion again.
No, I definitely feel it. And I have had like moments, like not as much as that day or that the day thereafter, but moments in the days since then where I've just found myself just allowing the tears to flow. So there is still, but I feel like, so what was it? I can't remember how we got to that question where you asked what is it that I feel like something is being suppressed, or you asked me what am I suppressing? Where do I feel that I'm being suppressed? Because transformation, right? So what happens now with from this maggot worm phase is going into the pupa phase, right? And I said to you that night I was having this intense pain in this particular shoulder. It was like, I mean, like it felt like something was either growing out of there or had grown in there. It was like painful beyond. Now, pain is something I'm pretty familiar with, but this was just nagging. And it was in our exchange that I realized, I said to Al, I feel like I am birthing a wing. Do you know, like when you're coming out of the pupa phase? This is like part of that transformation.
Yeah.
And you felt that with me.
I did. Oh, I did.
It was just, and the next day when I woke up from that, it felt like I had come out of the pupa, like pupa phase. I had now these wings at birth. I felt different. I'll notice my voice sound different. My energy was different.
Yes.
It's amazing. It feels like within 24 to 48 hours, all of this happened. That's what it feels like.
And Tessie, that's an important thing you've just mentioned, because we spoke about how what we're experiencing now is how quickly one can transition. You know, going back probably, I don't know, 18 months even, you know. I mean, we are very familiar with the signs and of journeying through a dark night of the soul. Yes. I mean, you know, and then we get it, we're like, okay, we're on the journey.
We're here. Yeah.
We're here. Let's do this thing, you know, and it's that next layer of the onion. And so we prepare ourselves and we go through it, and we prepare ourselves for however long it's going to last. And sometimes it's not, you know, it's months.
Sometimes it's months, weeks, it could be a couple of days, but I mean, most of the time it's really long. But yes, what's happening in these new energies is that these moments are happening way quicker and passing way quicker, but the depth and the intensity for me is also so much greater than it's ever been.
Absolutely.
Because
so just wanted
the lessons and the profoundness of the messages are so much greater, because I feel that our energies are ready to receive more. And so that's why it's so intense. And so that's why I felt it so deeply on an emotional level and on a physical level, because we are mind, body, spirit, right?
Yes.
I felt it on all those levels. And in all of this, why we got to this question of where are you suppressing yourself? It's like, it came back to the grief, like, what am I grieving?
Mm-hmm.
And it may not make sense to say it this way, but it's like you would feel like you're grieving the loss of something, but actually I'm grieving the not being something. And it's that
Interesting.
it's that it's that fear of stepping into my greatness.
Yeah.
It's been
Wow.
there for the longest time, and I feel that I do so much work on it, and I get to a point where I feel like I've conquered it now. Like I did. Like there's so many things I do. So for those of you who don't know me personally, I procrastinate when it comes to things about myself and doing things for myself for the betterment and improvement of myself. And I tend to put others first. But I've never in my life seen, and yeah, the emotion, I can feel it starting to come up again.
Yes.
Never have I seen or had modeled or been shown like to be great is a great thing. To embrace your greatness is a wonderful thing. It's always about being small, playing it small, working hard, not working smart, working hard till it's like blood, sweat, and tears kind of thing. But it never ever felt to me like I was being the greatest that I could be.
Yep.
And so there was that fear of that. And I was grieving that because I've never allowed myself to embrace it. And every time I take steps to doing that, I feel a bit more empowered. I feel a bit bigger in my being. I feel like I'm living more of my purpose. And then this kind of thing happens. And I just go, sure, I've still got a lot of work to do.
It's not big enough.
It's not big. I'm not big enough. I've not fully embraced all that I can be.
And the point is here, Tezzy, that, and we say this so often, but it's, again, it's like we can talk it, but we have to get this, it's like a getting it on at a soul and spirit level.
Yeah.
Because we know this, spirit knows this. I mean, spirit, as spirit having human experience, we know this.
We just need to recall it. It's the recalling of it.
Exactly. It's a recalling of that we are infinite.
Limitless, multidimensional.
Infinite, multidimensional beings. We are creator.
We are here creating our every experience. Everything we create, or everything we experience is not as a result of an external or in someone else. It is our own.
Again, yes, exactly. Through the choices we make. So if we are choosing to be small,
right?
Okay, then we are, and one can blame. One can say, "Oh, but it's the 2 years we've come through, or it's the country in which I live, or I mean, and we do that because it's easier to do that. But that is a choice we are making. However, I do want to preface this by saying that what we've all been exposed to for eons is a collective consciousness. Okay. Now, this is me being the critical thinker.
Yes.
But this is my belief, that there's been a collective consciousness that was created on this planet and has been maintained to keep humanity suppressed.
And to keep us small and to keep us in fear. That's
exactly. And so it's done through fear. Yes, so they're keeping us small, keeping us in limited kind of thinking and belief and boxes, has been done by design.
Yes.
Okay, because if you study metaphysics and quantum physics, you will know, I mean, just our DNA is magical.
Yeah.
In the true sense of the word, in the magical CK.
Yes.
Not just magic with a C.
Yes.
CK. Okay. It is, and it's this DNA that's activating, right, at the moment, if you so choose.
Yes.
Into these levels of infinite consciousness.
Yeah.
But that's so I mean, I'm saying this collective consciousness, I'm really bringing it up with intent to say it's not been your fault necessarily, that you felt small, because goodness sake, it's been the collective consciousness for so long. And by the way, it might not just be with this lifetime. It could be, lifetime after lifetime after lifetime.
Agreed.
So that sits in the Akash, right? In the Akashic record. So again, this is what we are releasing. It's huge, Taz. The magnitude of this is just beyond words. What we are releasing, and for me, what's so amazing and profound about your story is just the physical pitching up.
Yeah.
And then to see that absolute metamorphosize that happened.
Absolutely. And I mean, I was super grossed out. Like anybody who has the same feeling as me about these little creepy crawlies, I was super grossed out. In fact, there was a point at which I was actually angry, because now it was like, it's just not getting to an end. And I actually journeyed through all those different emotions and feelings and reactions and 3D reactions to an expanded awareness. And thank God for the awareness, always.
Yeah.
But to the point that I was actually at the end of it in gratitude of these little creatures showing up in my space to bring me this message and to push me towards my greatness. Yeah. And it's like in small things like that I've always struggled with stuff like charging my worth and knowing my value and those kind of things. And I've become so much more empowered in those spaces. And then I just learned that there's just so much more that you need to continue doing to stand your ground and to own your power and to just be your great self, And so this was just like, as much as they were there being seen by me and my mom and dad, it's kind of like a message to stand out, like be seen, do not be small, do not be shy, to be seen.
Do not live under the floorboards.
Don't live under the floorboards, no.
I mean, like, really?
It's come out into the light, because I mean, where do they they don't really, they do most of the process in the dark. So for me to have come out was just, I mean, an en masse like that was not my finest moment in my reaction, and not the best experience, but then ultimately the best experience.
So absolutely. And I just think, Tezzy, that's the beauty of the journeys.
Yes.
Is exactly that. I mean, none of us like to be faced with the icky stuff, whatever that icky stuff is.
Yeah, the ugly, you gotta take it all, the good, the bad, and the ugly. It's all part of the journey, right? It's not just roses. I think there's that huge misconception, and we may have said this before in our previous videos, this huge misconception that once you step onto this journey of awareness, of awakening, of recalling and rediscovering who you truly are, that you are living in a total state of bliss, incense, meditation, and at one with all. No, it becomes so challenging, because you are still navigating so many lower vibrational energies, as well as the expanded and elevated energies, right? It's like you're navigating all of them. And you're learning as you go. So it's like training on the job.
Oh no, there's nothing bliss bunny about this.
No.
There's nothing, I don't know if this is an African word, but there's nothing kumbaya about this, right? I mean, this is, and we've said it before, it's work, it's, and when you choose this journey, I mean, you choose to be in the work, in the doing of the eliminating, in the doing of finding the expansion, until you are being it, right? So, but also, Daisy, to say because we are so infinite, there's no line that you cross and you say, yes, oh, wonderful.
I've made it. I've made it.
I've made it, because that line there is no line.
There is no line because we're constantly evolving. We constant works in progress,
Yeah.
Like I say, we always think we may have mastered something, but it may have been mastered at that particular time in our journey, right?
Yes.
At that moment in time. But
yes.
actually, as we evolve, as we expand our awareness and our consciousness and our vibration raises higher and higher, we are ready to receive more of that lesson, more of that teaching, more of that deeper understanding. And so for me, it's like, if you think that there's some finite kind of path here, there isn't. It's not linear. It's not finite. It's as expensive as it needs to be for you. How
many times have we had the conversation? Well, I know I've done it so many times, but Taz, I've worked through this. Why has it come up again? Seriously?
It will repeat until you get it. It will repeat until it's fully mastered, until it's fully healed. That's the other thing. It's also healing so many parts of us, right?
Yeah.
And the other thing I want to say about these experiences is, again, we are not living in silo. We are not existing in silo. We are so interconnected, right? I made this decision like so early on in my animal communication journey to allow and accept messages in, right, from the animal kingdom and from nature. So for these maggots to appear, it's like really, as weird as it was also not as weird, because it's kind of the space I've created for all to be welcome in my space.
Yeah.
But more than that is that the ripple effect that it has on those that you are so closely linked to, whether they be family, whether they be friends, anyone that's in your inner circle, who's in your tribe. Once you kind of go through these huge transformations, the transformation may not be anywhere near that, but know that it's going to have this kind of ripple effect, because our energies are so interconnected that it's definitely going to affect them, whether they are aware of it or not. There's a feeling you just cannot deny that it's something is happening.
Well, we are all one.
Exactly.
So everyone gets affected. Your cats were affected,
Well, they were just they were what is going on here?
Yes, exactly. So, and that is the beautiful thing, the beautiful lessons that happen. Again, if you so choose, you can be in that inner circle, you can be in that space and not see the lesson, or not choose to take it on board, and that's not a judgment. Then that is simply your choice.
So choose, like at this point, if you call to have more awareness, then you have the choice to pull that in and allow that into you. The thing is, you've got to ask permission, right? You've got to not ask, but to give permission for that to come into your space. Yes. And just on that, actually, one of the more profound parts of this experience was something you actually shared with me that came up for you during my experience. Was you said that I need to ask for my beings of light to come in and support me and help me make whatever needs to happen, make it possible. And that is also something that through my journey I've struggled with, is to ask, right?
Me too.
Ask for help of any kind, because I feel like I'm so willing to help others always, but for me to ask for help has always been one of the harder things for me to do. There are areas where I find it easier now, but still some that I find really hard. And so when you said that to me, that was hugely profound, because what I don't think we realize is, aside from me asking someone like Alison for help, is also to reach out to those who are in service to us that we cannot see.
Correct. Of the other dimensions.
Our light beings can be anything, from all dimensions, magical beings, archangels, all things of light, right? That are there to support you. And there are so many. All you need to do is ask.
Yeah.
And give them the permission to help you, because they won't do it without you asking, and they won't do it without.
Well, I think that's important. So the infringement of free will. So these
Absolutely.
beautiful beings of light that surround us all the time cannot infringe on our free will. I mean, that's part of the human journey, is that we are on this planet to navigate choice, free will.
Yes.
And so they can't just come in and
just
do whatever they need
interfere.
to do.
Yeah.
Exactly. Until you ask, until you give permission and you allow them to come in. And then absolutely they will do what they believe is
best.
Is best for you in those moments. And you're right, Tazy. I mean, I'm equally the same. I'm so aware of my beings, but it's like this warrior archetype that says
it's that self-sufficiency. It's for me, and I don't know if you agree with this, but I feel that it's still such a part of me that's buried in ego, that not asking for help.
Hundreds, absolutely. And for me, I will tell you, it's eons, lifetimes of being in the divine feminine, and being tortured and for being the person that I needed to be, or the healer that I needed to be, or the light worker that I needed to be. So this suppression of the divine feminine, which I know for me is very strong, has been very strong until this iteration of this avatar. So that suppression has come in as well, so there's always been with me this strong warrior archetype of, I can do this, I will do this on my own, I've got to do this on my own. And so that suppression, has not been healthy. And as I've worked on releasing that, now suddenly the vulnerability and the softness that started to sort of manifest that in my, that I observe in myself is a beautiful thing. So those beings are there, and they are always there. And it's just a case
they're hanging out, waiting for us to ask for their help.
I mean, I get to the point now where I say, guys, get off your coffee break, I mean,
honestly, but it's us they're waiting for, they're waiting for us to ask for the support, the assistance.
And that's, those two words are really important, Tazy, because they are not there to do it for you.
No.
So there's no big saviors coming.
No,
right?
We're not going to take it. They're not going to take over the problem, the issue, or the concern at that particular moment. No, but they will bring support in whichever way is best serving for you at that point in time.
So it's the guidance and the support and the holding space. Hello, the name of this platform, right? As we would do in the physical of holding space for one another, they will do from these other dimensions. But it is important to mention that they are not there to do it for you.
No.
And nothing and no one is. I mean, this is the key thing, right? We are here to journey our journey, and to learn whatever it is we need to learn. Beautiful lessons,
hard ones too, but
hard ones too, but for the evolution of our own souls. So I just want to say, because sometimes I think we do get into this like, somebody can just come and do it for me or save me.
As a collective, humanity does suffer from a savior complex. Like they want that. They want someone to walk in and just save the day, rescue me from my situation, from my financial woes, from this relationship I'm in, from whatever it is. And yet it is all down to our choice. So here we are, often given that choice. So I think in reflection of everything that was shared today, it's like really ask yourself, what are you allowing in your space? Where are
Yeah,
you
that is not serving
that
you.
is not serving you? And
Yes.
what can you then allow into your space to serve you? Where are
Yeah.
you suppressing yourself? Is really obviously the theme of this message. But then also, what are you not paying attention to that has been coming up in your space? Like, what can you now possibly reflect on and like have a deeper connection with that moment and expand on it and really feel the depth of what you were being shown or led to or guided to?
Beautiful way, I think, to summarize this and kind of end it, Tassie. I would just add, and may you have the courage and the grace and the serenity to journey. So when it comes up and it's there, and you know, okay, thank you for the message. Show the gratitude that
Yes,
it's
absolutely.
pitched up. You know, that the universe has given you this aha moment. But then to step into those beautiful places of courage, because we understand that, you know, no one said this was just a bed of roses and a walk in the park, you know. But to know that the support is there, to know that the guidance is there, to call on it, but yeah, just to have that courage and grace, and then to acknowledge yourself once you've journeyed through. You know, to be able to pat yourself on the back and say, way to go, girl.
Yes,
that was like
great job,
tough, but way to go, good job. And we don't do that enough either.
We don't. I think this is something actually so common. I've had so many people bring this up in discussion, or I've seen it somewhere online. It's like we don't look back to reflect on how far we've actually come. Because, you know, in this moment, wherever you are, you feel everything is so hard and it's so heavy and it's so intense and like you can't make it through. And then if you just take the moment to reflect and look at the real expanded version of your story and you go, oh my God, this is not who I was like last year, let alone last month. Like,
exactly.
I have come so far. Like, you need to acknowledge that, like, and then go and because that's the macro, that's the bigger picture, right? And then the smaller picture is what you're dealing with right now. So if you look at that, that should give you the encouragement to know that the journey may not be linear, it may not be easy to walk through and work through, but you will get there and you will be so much better for it on the other side. So it does take huge courage. It takes huge courage, but then again, as I say so often, I mean, huge appreciation for you, Al, and for the like-mindedness that we share. And because you need that too. You need the tribe that helps you get through the journey. Because who else would I have shared that with? And, you know, who would just get it? Because what you're wanting is for people to just get it without really always explaining so much. But just being there, holding space in total acceptance and in total love. And that for me is the biggest support you can have on this journey, no matter what you're going through.
Oh, and equally, babe. I mean, Tassie and I have a little kind of acronym. It's BG. When we WhatsApping or whatever, we just BG, and BG means beyond gratitude. And equally, my friend. I mean, there is just, I don't even have the words to articulate how grateful I am, and just the unconditional love. Sure, thank you. And Tassie's so right. You know, if you don't have the inner circle that are like-minded, go and find them. They are out there. You know, put the intention out and start observing. I promise you that allow it in.
Yes.
They're there. And again, we even say on this platform, you know, please, we love your comments. If you know, be part of this circle, be part of this holding space circle. This is an amazing opportunity to do that. So I mean, it's the whole reason why we started this. Well, we've just felt
to create
there was
the
a
space.
space.
Yeah, to create the
Yes.
space for us or to share with you. We're sharing what
Mm.
we've learned, what we've experienced, but for you to feel safe enough that you can equally come and share with us.
Yeah.
And we are available. We are here. You just need to reach out. So please, we do love the comments, but if you want any more, you know where to get hold of us.
Please do. Yes. And guys, just a last thing, Tezzy, that I wanted to mention is I've gone back to journaling. I used to journal, infinitum, and then I kind of had a break again, and I've gone back to journaling. And I just want to say, sometimes people also say, well, okay, what's a tool?
Yes.
That can help me. And I just want to say, journaling, going back to journaling for me has been profound.
Wow.
And to your point of going back and reading some of sometimes I look at it and I think to myself, that wasn't you, Al. Like, where did that come from?
No.
But that's also my way of being able to see my journey.
Yes.
And like how much I have evolved and the growth and everything. So it gives me an opportunity when I am reading back to do that. Well done, girl. Like, look at this.
Absolutely.
Look at this.
I agree with you, Al. There's something so beautiful in that process of writing by hand, right? Which I too, honestly, I need to get back to that because it feeds my soul. I mean, I do have, like I said, I've got a notepad next to my bed. I'm always writing, but like the journaling has not really been on my. But this is where, I'm not saying that that's the go-to for everyone, but this is where when you're in your tribe. Like your tribe also serves as your reminder.
Yes.
So like with you and I in our chats, like just alone, what we access there, and if we look back on like certain messages or voice notes shared, we're just like, oh my God, what like profoundness there was in that moment, and what we went through that we didn't think we could get through, and here we are, like way down the line, and having a totally different version of that experience because we are in a different place on our journey, right? So
absolutely. So we hope this has been a valuable one. Tezzy, I just want to say BG for your sharing. I know that it wasn't going to be an easy one to share because it's also so raw and so new.
Yes.
But thank you. It was a beautiful share, and I think will hold so much value for those that are listening.
I hope it does. I trust it will. Wherever it lands, I trust it will land with whoever it needs to at this moment in time. And I'm appreciative of the space to be able to share. And yes, sometimes not, but this is also part of knowing how you've kind of progressed and healed through a journey is when you get okay to share things, like when things are easier to share, they bring about a level of healing. So thank you for allowing that for me, Al.
And so it is, everyone. Been awesome as always.
Thank you so much.
Yes, we'll be joining you again soon. Probably, well, let's not give a time, but I think we know what the next topic will be when it's right. Yes. Yeah. So lots of love and
always
light.
so much love. Thank you to everyone. Thanks, Al.